So I'm here with Michael Barlos of the Lonely Friends.
How's it going, man?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Happy to be here.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming over and doing my podcast.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So the Lonely Friends, I got a chance to check you guys out a little bit on YouTube. You had some cool live videos, and the first thing that hit me off the bat was the style seems kind of all over the map a little bit, but it was really interesting. I really liked it, but
yeah, we try and be a little more eclectic with where we draw our inspiration from. We see a lot of mainstream, or I guess not mainstream local bands, but a lot of bigger bands will find themselves in sort of a rut, and that's what we want to stay away from as much as we can.
Yeah, I noticed even with like just the individual songs, in the course of a song, you kind of go through a lot of changes, and the first song I heard, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like there was a change up, and it almost went into kind of a 50s doo-wop kind of style almost. Yeah. But it didn't start out in that genre at all, but it was really cool how you guys do that.
We try and change it up as much as we can, stay away from the verse, chorus type of layout, and really try and piece together a full project rather than just song.
Right.
So that's how we write our songs too.
So are you guys? How many people are in the band?
4. We're 4-piece.
Okay. And you're the lead singer.
Yep.
And you also play keys. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Vocals and keys.
Cool. So how do you guys go about your songwriting process? Is it one guy writes them, or do you guys write them together?
Well, it is a bit different for every individual song.
Okay.
A lot of times, Nick, our drummer, will write a chunk of lyrics, or he'll come to us with an idea, and we kind of riff off of that. Or Logan, who plays bass, or Travis, who plays guitar, they'll bring an instrumental idea to us, and we kind of play off of that. And once we have things that we like or we sound good, we try and fit them with other things that we've had. So we just have kind of a whole bag of ideas that we have collected, and then if we have a lyric that particularly sticks out to us, we'll try it on a few different instrumental parts that we've had, and kind of form the song from there. So sometimes it comes from an instrumental background. Sometimes it starts with the lyrics, and we form the music around that. It's kind of just...
Yeah. Kind of comes from a lot of different areas.
Yeah, absolutely.
That kind of makes sense. That would give you more of that different kind of sounding. 'Cause I think the second song I listened to was a track called Booze Hound.
Yeah, that's
and
on
that sounded
our upcoming album, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. It sounded a lot different than the first song, but
yeah.
That's probably indicative of having different starting points of the writing process, and how you guys come together and form the songs too. So that's cool. So you said you have an album coming out.
We do. Yes, we're expecting it to be done probably late June, early July. We're hoping midsummer. It's a fully fleshed out concept album.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it's the same story arc all the way through from front to back.
Wow.
So we've been together for 7 years.
Are you allowed to reveal sort of what the story arc is going to be?
Yeah, I would love to talk about it. So the album is called Hector and the Bagman, and so the Booze Hound song is the first. It's the second track, but the first actual song on the album. We have an overture to begin it, so that kind of sets up the thematic elements. From an instrumental standpoint, and then it goes into the story of the Bagman, who he's kind of this downtrodden character, just miserable all the time. It's set in kind of a parallel existence to ours. So it's kind of in the same type of situation. They're in kind of a big city setting, and he has been taken captive by a witch-like character. She has kept him alive for 100 years, or 100 years or so, and he's outlived all of his friends, all of his family. He's completely alone except for this witch character, and so when you first meet him, he's the character who is singing the Booze Hound song, and he has just found a way to escape from the witch, and she's still looking for him, and that's when we first meet him. So he escapes, and he has all of this craziness going on, and then he meets the character named Hector, who tells him that he will get rid of the witch in return for a few errands that he would have the bagman do for him. So he becomes Hector's bagman. It's kind of a hint at more mafia type undertones there. Hector is kind of an underworld kind of boss type of character, and he employs the bagman to go to these people who are still in debt to Hector and collect money for him. So the whole middle chunk, the middle act of the album, is the bagman going out and talking to these other people that have been employed by Hector in the past. And so through talking to them and through kind of reaching out to them and trying to get things for Hector, he starts learning that Hector is not necessarily who he says he is. And by the end, he meets the very last monster type person who has been under Hector's control for so long that he's just a shriveled little creature hiding in a cave. And so he collects the money from everybody that he needs to, and he gets back, and he finds that Hector has destroyed his part of the city, just decimated everything, and he's found the witch, and he has her tied up, and he's ready to burn her at the stake. And the bagman realizes, wait a second, that's not what we agreed on. You just said that you could get me away from her. You didn't say that you were going to destroy everything. So it ends up with the witch using the last of her energy or her power to spin everything back in time to the beginning of the story. So the album is kind of cyclical. Once you hit the end, you can start right back at the overture and listen to the entire album again. So you can start at any point, and it just keeps going in a loop.
Huh. So, wow, that's a really elaborate.
It's very specific, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really cool though. How I'm curious, how did you guys come up with the idea? Is it based on a written, like, did you do like a book or a graphic novel first?
The initial idea, the nugget that this kind of came from was the most of the credit goes to Nick, our drummer. He has a few sketches of these characters. He's writing out kind of a storyline. Nothing published or anything yet, but he does have notes on how this story unfolds. And so we took that idea of the Hector character and the Bagman character kind of clashing, and then all four of us really expanded upon all of it together.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. So do you have an idea how many tracks that's going to be?
12 tracks.
12 tracks.
Yep.
Okay. Are you, what studio are you recording in?
We actually recorded all of our foundation tracks about 2 weeks ago. We went with Stone Soup Recording Studios in Maumee.
Okay.
Eric Sills is the sound tech over there, and he's wonderful.
Yeah.
Super nice guy.
I've heard a lot of good things about those guys.
He's great to work with. He's always really positive. He's very constructive. He doesn't BS you if you're doing something badly. He'll say, "Hey, man, that doesn't sound quite right. Why don't you try this?" So he's always there to give you different options and really lift the piece up rather than just criticize you.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. So you have 12 tracks planned. You said you had the foundations done.
Yep, we have
Is
bass,
that,
drums, guitar, and keys all recorded,
did you do that together live, or do
all
you?
together live.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Great.
Yep.
That always seems to, I don't know, when you can capture the live energy
Mm-hmm.
of the group, it always seems to add so much than just tracking everything completely
Absolutely.
separate.
Yeah, and that's how we used to do it. Travis is a sound engineer himself, our guitarist,
Oh, yeah.
and so he has his own studio, and he's also a brilliant sound engineer. But when we first started as a band, just the equipment that we had available was nowhere near as advanced as what we have now. So we would start just tracking one thing and layering it on top, just starting with drums and doing drums over and over and over and over again, and then adding bass, and
Yeah.
it was grueling. And
Yeah, I think a lot of bands when they're, first starting with the home studio, that's kind of, it seems to be the most convenient way to do things. 'Cause
Oh, absolutely.
definitely, recording everybody at once takes a little bit of technology and equipment
Sure.
and experience, I guess. But
Oh, absolutely. And we've been practicing to effectively do it live because we did everything in one day.
Oh, wow. You
Yeah,
did all
it
12?
was a long, long day.
Wow.
We got to the studio at 9 in the morning, and we left probably 8:30 at night.
Wow.
8:30, 9 o'clock
Was
at
that
night.
a artistic decision or was that a financial decision?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
What we wanted to do was really carry the energy throughout the entire thing, and that definitely achieved it. But
Probably have I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you probably have a lot more consistency that way
Yes.
with the recordings too.
Yep, we really achieved a lot of consistency. That's a good word. But we practiced our asses off.
Yeah.
We practiced twice a week, and we were just hammering these tracks over and over and over to a click, making sure that we had the tempos exactly where we wanted them, right down to the BPM, and
Yeah.
we would just
Yeah, that's
practice
great to
over
come
and over
in.
and over and over.
Engineers love that if you're prepared like that, especially. But to be well rehearsed when you go into the studio, yeah, it's definitely an advantage. So you said you've been a band for 7 years.
7 years, yeah.
Wow. So how many albums is this?
This is number 3.
This is number 3. Cool. What's the plan with the release? I mean, obviously, are you going to just distribute it online to pretty much all the channels?
Yeah, that's the plan initially. We're kind of in a growth period right now. We just had a member change last January. We brought in a new bassist for the better, and it was a great move, but it really did set us back, just learning wise, because he is an incredible musician, and he's also a vocalist, which is a plus. He just didn't know our music, he didn't know our style, and the three of us who remained in the band were learning how to incorporate a new creative mind into the group. So this past year has really been a huge upswing for us creatively, and I think that the album is a very clear product of that. But now that we have kind of a solid foundation again of where we want to go, with this album release, we're looking to put out a lot more content that isn't necessarily music related. Like we were talking about earlier with our podcast, we want to try and get our name out into the music scene as musicians, but also as facilitators for other musicians. Just trying to make the scene a little bit stronger.
Yeah. You mentioned you had a band podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Is
Yep.
that under the Lonely Friends on
Yes.
YouTube?
Yep. The Lonely Friends Band, I believe, is the YouTube channel, but we call our podcast The Lonely Gram.
Okay.
So we'll have local artists or other musicians or other people that have podcasts or do more of that type of thing on, and just talk just like this. Just have a conversation.
Yeah, I think it's great for if you have somebody that has something they want to promote, if you have other bands or musicians that have things to promote, and I don't really think of it as really like a, hey, check out my CD, like
Right.
that sort of promotion, but
Mhm.
it's more of a way for your fans to get to know you on like a more
Exactly.
personal level.
Right.
So
I think that's such an effective way to promote yourself. Much more effective than just saying, "Hey, listen to my music,"
yeah,
and then posting a link. You know.
right. Yeah. From what I saw of the podcast, it looked like I think it was Nick, your drummer,
Mhm.
was doing them. But you said you all do
Yeah,
different.
yep. We've
different
all
episodes?
been. We have a few in the chamber still that have not been posted, just because we've been so busy over the past few months finishing up the album and really wrapping it up. So now that we are in the final stages of recording, we can really get back to diving into that podcast state of mind.
Yeah. How many? Do you have any idea when you go back to the studio? You're probably going to be adding in a lot of like the salt and pepper of the songs.
Yep. Right now we're working on vocal tracking.
Oh, okay. So you doing that, and then how long do you expect? Is it kind of just going to be play it by ear till you think it's done, or you're
Well-
saying June or July?
That's a dangerous thought. Just
Yeah.
saying we're gonna go until we think it's done. We've definitely fallen into that trap before, where we
Yeah.
just say it can always be better. We
Right.
can always go back and change something.
Sometimes that deadline is what
and
you need.
The deadline is what you need for sure.
Yeah.
So right now we're taking it one step at a time with vocals. Today actually we just recorded 3 vocal tracks. So we're gonna get all the vocals laid down for everything. We have a few horn lines that we want to put in. So we have a friend of ours who plays the trumpet. Travis also plays the trombone. Logan, our bassist, he plays the violin and the tuba. So we're trying to incorporate other instruments that we have not used in our
Yeah.
albums before. So really now it's just the process of layering in the extra things on top that we want. And once we do everything that we have planned out, then we'll listen to it as a whole and see if we need anything else.
Yeah. Go from there.
Yep.
Yeah. When did you get started in music? Were you?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Actually, I got started a little bit late. I had a trio type thing in high school. We didn't have a name. It was just 3 of us kind of, playing around with instruments. And I was dared to do our school talent show. And I said, I've never been on stage before. I don't even know if I can sing. I don't know anything about that stuff. And they're like, just do it. Just do it. So I went in and I auditioned for this talent show and I got in. And it was the craziest thing because I went out and the 3 of us played and I sang for the first time ever on stage by myself. And the reception was like unbelievable. Everybody was like, I didn't know you could do that. I was like, all right, well, maybe I should start
So you
looking
discovered
into this.
your talent. then.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, completely
So
on
Were you
accident.
just singing or were you playing piano too?
At that point, I was just singing.
oh,
yeah.
okay.
I had a little bit of piano experience, like very, very minimal. Now I'm a lot better vocally and piano-wise, but yeah, it was completely on accident, like at random that I just showed up to this talent
Yeah.
show audition, and that is how I became a musical person.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I was expecting. Well, I got piano lessons when I was 6, and I was expecting that story. That seems like a lot of people that get started with piano is because they were kind of forced into lessons as a child.
Yeah, absolutely the opposite.
Yeah.
My parents were very supportive of everything that I wanted to do, and I never really showed any interest in music. My grandmother plays the piano, so I would play with her like chopsticks and stuff when I was really young, but it was never something that was at the forefront of my mind growing up. And then that one talent show, and then everything shifted.
Yeah.
And it was complete 100% interest all the time.
Yeah. It's funny how a crowd reaction can do that for
Yeah.
a person. They say that with a lot of
You bet.
a lot of comedians. It's like their first time on, they like kill, and like they get that
Right.
bug then because everybody got
Yeah.
excited, and then the second time on, they bomb or whatever.
Right,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Thankfully, that did not happen to me right away.
Yeah, well, that's
I've
good.
had some pretty bad gigs, but
Yeah.
like right at the beginning, it was not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely bombed on stage, but I started as a drummer, and
Mm-hmm.
recently I've been playing these solo acoustic shows, but that's kind of a new thing for me. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, the first couple open mics I did, just solo acoustic, I was really nervous, and
Sure. Yeah.
I felt
super
like I
nerve-wracking.
felt like I bombed when I got done, but it was really like there was only 3 people in the bar anyways, so
Right.
it wasn't like,
And those are the shows that you kind of do for yourself anyway,
Yeah.
just to convince
It was
yourself
a-
you can do it, and
Yeah.
then after that, you're good to go.
yeah, it was a good experience to get out of the way. But honestly, after my first open mic, I was like, I don't know if this is for me. I mean, I may not do this again. But so, do you guys do? Do you have a lot of shows booked? Do you play a lot out or?
You know, we used to kind of in between the 2 albums, number 2 and number 3. After we were done with our second album, we set our sights on pretty much just playing out at bars. So we did the 3-hour, 4-hour cover band thing
Oh yeah,
for quite a while, and we kind of outgrew that at a point because we wanted to get back into the studio and write, and so now we're trying to line up shows that allow us to play our music,
more of the original.
more
type
of the
gigs.
original stuff. We'll throw a cover in there every once in a while, but those are the covers that we play with and make our own anyway. So we're really trying to win our audience over with our original content now. So we've been doing, I don't know if you've checked out our Facebook at all, but we've been bombing Instagram and Facebook with just like 50-second clips, just an acoustic verse of a song or something like that. Trying to find different ways to produce the songs that we already have to keep the audience engaged. So we're just trying to consistently put out content that's interesting.
Yeah,
So rather than just, like we were talking about before, rather than just recording a song and posting it and then sharing that link over and over and over again, we're trying to put out something unique every time we post.
yeah,
And so that's more of our focus right now than playing out live. But we definitely do have a few lined up. I think our next one is June 27th. We're doing a Disney show at the Ottawa Tavern.
Oh,
Yeah, where it's like a whole Disney themed night.
that'd
And
be interesting.
yeah, so I think 12 or 16 bands. All of us are just playing one Disney song, and we're all just hanging out
Oh,
and playing Disney music. It's crazy, but
Yeah, it
it's
sounds like a
very cool night. Yeah,
pretty weird idea,
Yeah.
but all right,
we heard it, and I was like, yeah, we
Yeah.
should do that.
Cool.
We should figure that out.
yeah. So you mentioned when was your last album? When did you guys release that?
2015,
Okay.
2015, end of 14 maybe. That was our self-titled album, actually.
Yeah, a little bit of time there, but
Mhm.
I mean, I think what you were saying earlier about trying to post like interesting ways of the songs or how to put the songs out in an interesting way. It seems like with artists and musicians today, it is kind of becoming one of those things where you're almost your own channel. So it's
Mhm.
kind of it's one of those things where you're trying to just create new content
Right.
constantly, which is
Yeah.
part of the reason why we're here.
Absolutely,
Making
yeah. That's why we love doing stuff like this.
yeah,
And-
or the live videos. Do you guys do you ever do any of like the Facebook Live? Or
Yeah, absolutely. We've done them several times in the past. We actually get most of our views through shares and kind of individual postings. So Facebook Live videos have not worked particularly well for us in the recent past, but now we have developed music. So
Yeah.
so we'll definitely be trying that again soon.
Yeah, yeah. You're probably itching to get those new songs out there too. So
Yep, we haven't played the full album live, but we did a kind of a condensed version of it all the way through, including our overture and our finale, which is like 9 minutes long.
wow.
So we played it live. Actually, people were into it.
You
At
played
least it felt.
the whole album live?
Pretty much. I think we played 10 out of 12 tracks,
Oh, very cool.
all right in a row.
Yeah. So what I noticed from the couple of tracks that I heard was they were pretty. I think one was almost 6 minutes long. One was like 5 minutes long. But how long do you think the album's going to end up being? Do you have an idea?
I have no idea.
No.
I have no idea. I know that we have a few pretty short tracks,
Yeah.
but we more than make up for it with a few of the others. I know we have. I think we're close to 6 minutes on one. They average out about 4.5.
It's kind of a weird question, but yeah, I don't know. I'm a big Tool fan, and in some of their albums they get like 11, 12-minute songs going on, and like my first album that I released, I kind of had the opposite approach where I was like, how many short songs can I put together on an album,
Right, and
kinda
still make
just
it feature
them
length.
flow
Yeah.
together. Yeah. So I don't know. I was just curious if you guys tend to do longer, more jammy kind of songs, or if it's
It kind of goes back to the writing process. We don't want to put ourselves into kind of a. We don't want to box ourselves in with a time constraint. I
Right.
guess that's what I would say. We don't want to say we need to have this song at 6 minutes or more, and then we end up repeating a chorus 9 times to do that. So it really ends up. Do we think this song needs anything else? Do we think that we should take something out of it? And once we're satisfied with the song, however long that ends up being, we're fine with that.
yeah, very cool. So what do you guys have? What do you have planned for the summer?
Well, the summer we're looking to play out more on the club scene. That seems to be the best place to debut new music.
Yeah.
A lot of
Have you found with transitioning from doing a lot of covers at venues before to trying to get into the originals? There's a lot of different venues now, or
some of the venues are pretty cool with both. I know that there are definitely people out at bars that appreciate original music. I also know there are people out at bars that do not appreciate original music. So playing clubs, like we just played the Auto Tavern the other day. Boonies just opened downtown. Places like that. Howard's down in Bowling Green. That's a fantastic place to play. Places like that seem to be, the hidden gems where people go to find new things that they might like.
yeah,
And you meet different people there every time you play,
Yeah.
and that's what we're about.
yeah. I always like the places that are geared towards. They're almost like a listening room. Like they're there to
Absolutely,
see
yeah.
new music, and they're not interested in covers or
Right.
So that's always nice. But yeah, there's definitely the places that are, if you play an original, they're like the bartender's shaking
No,
their head.
no.
No, we don't want to hear
Please stop that right now.
Yeah. Nobody knows this song.
Yeah.
But
Only the hits.
Yeah. So are you guys going to do any sort of radio campaigns or press campaigns with it? Have you thought about any of that kind of stuff?
We have not. We're
Music
really
marketing's
just,
never fun.
It is definitely not. Right now we're just going head first, trying to tackle social media. We're really,
Yeah.
like I said before, just heavily using Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, trying to get those out to other people, and spread the word that way first.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good I think releasing everything digital is pretty convenient. Are you planning on doing any sort of physical copies of it?
We are, yes.
Is that going to be CD format, or were you
Yep,
thinking
CD
any
format.
vinyl?
We haven't ventured into vinyl yet. That's definitely an option, I think, for the future. But CDs are still, I think, more used in our target audience than vinyl. If used
Cassette
at all.
tapes, I hear, are coming back now,
yeah, 8 tracks. But yes, we do plan to produce physical copies and start selling them at shows, and kind of we're trying to get into a few unconventional places. We have kind of a running joke that we want to start playing in places that would never host bands, like a laundromat.
Oh,
We're like, yeah, we should just show up and set up and start playing at a laundromat and see what they do. And one of our friends was like, yeah, they don't have anybody that works there anyway. It's just a bunch of people doing their laundry.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? I don't know.
There was a famous band. I can't remember. It might have been like the Foo Fighters or Metallica or something a few years back that they put together like a traveling wagon that they just set up a stage on. And then they just drove around a city playing a concert.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, if you have lots of
be
money
very
and
cool.
you can have a mobile stage
Right,
going
yeah.
on. But I can't remember what band did that, but I thought that was pretty cool.
That sounds like a Foo
And then-
Fighters thing to do.
Yeah. I guess going back to the Beatles, didn't they do some rooftop shows back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
Back when
Yeah.
they were super famous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They could do whatever they wanted.
Yeah. So you guys are pretty much based out of Toledo?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, all
are
of
you guys
us-
all from around here then?
Yep, all of us born and raised in Maumee, actually.
Oh, okay. Did you guys go to school together, or how'd you guys meet?
Nick, Travis, and I did. And then Logan's the youngster. He is 19 currently. And the rest of us are 26 and 27. But he's like a musical prodigy.
Yeah?
So far beyond his years in musical ability.
What's he play?
He plays bass.
Okay, he's the new bass player.
Mhm.
Oh, cool. Well, it's good to have a prodigy on the bass holding it down.
I know.
so-
Yeah, he's been described as the most excited bass player in Toledo.
Oh,
We play shows and people are like, "Why is he's so happy playing the bass?" We're not used to bass players
yeah.
being that excited about playing the bass, but he's just up there
Yeah.
living.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I noticed with what I heard online, you do have a lot of instrumentation going on.
We do,
And then when
yes.
I saw some of the videos, I saw that you were playing a lot of the keys and stuff. Do you move around on instruments at all, or how do you guys kinda try to pull that off live?
We do, Logan also plays the piano, so sometimes we'll switch off. I'm not a bassist, so those are songs that don't have bass live. But a lot of times it's just very quick changing of instruments and strategic presetting of different instruments on the keyboard.
Oh, yeah.
So just making sure before we start our first song, that everything that I need for the entire set
Yeah.
is already programmed onto the keyboard. And I make sure that I know where to go, so I can, even if I have to switch it in a second, I can do
Right.
it. I know where to go.
Yeah. So do you ever play like a piano, or is it just a keyboard? Usually?
Live, it's just easier to use the keyboard.
Yeah. Did you do any sort of piano work in the studio?
In the past, we have. On this particular album, we did not use a real piano. We just used the same keyboard that I used to play out live.
Yeah.
But in recordings in the past, we've used a baby grand piano
Yeah.
that we had available to us. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool that you're still using what you use live though too,
Mhm.
because then when you go to play the songs live, they'll have the same sound that
Right.
your recordings had.
We try our best to achieve as much consistency as possible. So if somebody buys our album and they hear a song, they can come to a show and hear the song as legitimately as possible. Aside from live horn lines and stuff like that, we, as much as I would love to have a brass section just following us around, that's not the case.
Yeah.
So as much as we can do legitimately with guitar, bass, drums, keys, and vocals live at all times, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. Yeah, it's tough sometimes when you get in the studio because you have so many options to layer things, and then
Right.
you think, well, we have to actually perform this live at some point. So,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to rethink things and make them a little bit more
It is a
simple.
fine line to walk because you get into the studio and there are so many options, and you think, well, why not add extra stuff if it makes it sound better? But then you have to think if fans or consumers listen backwards, if they listen to the CD first and then see you live, we don't want anybody to be disappointed with our live performance if it
Right.
doesn't have elements that were available in the studio.
Yeah. Yeah, that would never be good if you hear a band and they don't sound anything like their album, or
Right.
it sounds like, well, on their album they probably had to do 100 takes to get that one part right, and they can't do it live, or that's never
Right.
good. But
And that's why we put so much emphasis on rehearsal. Well, that's why we practice so diligently. So when we go in to record something, we can do it in 2 takes or 3 takes, and be happy with what we're doing, because we do have a system down. We know how the song is played every single time, and we play it the same way. You know, I mean, aside from, little things that may change here and there, but the general structure of each song remains the same across the board.
yeah,
So
that's really
people get
cool
a
to hear,
consistent
because
performance.
yeah, that's cool. But listening to your music, I thought there might have been an element of jam band in it, but
A little bit,
little
yeah.
bit, a
Sometimes
little bit of improv.
yes.
Mostly you're structured, it seems.
Right.
Yeah.
And all 4 of us are very musically minded. We're all very intuitive performers and intuitive players. So especially Nick and Travis, who have been playing together for years. They were in a band in high school together, and they played in the marching band together, and so they are very, very good and very comfortable.
That's your drummer and guitarist.
Drummer and guitarist, yes. Yep. They're very comfortable playing off of each other, and really having a sense of when things may switch on the fly. If we get a little bit more time to play, do we play a different song, or do we just extend some of our songs that we already have in our written set?
Yeah.
So sometimes we'll just give
Yeah.
Travis another solo.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
I almost got and this is like not a comparison in that it sounds like it, but structurally, I almost got like a Queen Bohemian Rhapsody feel
Oh yeah,
from your songs. Just the drastic changes that happen. You know how that song's kind of an opera and it tells a story. Like I don't think your music sounds like Queen, or I don't want to give people that
Sure.
impression. But as far as like expecting a big change in the middle, and just opening all these different doors that you maybe wouldn't have expected. I don't know.
sure. Well, first of all, I'm very flattered that you said that. That's awesome. But truly, that one of the things that we strive for is a piece that makes a listener want to keep listening and listen again. And with formulaic music that you like, top 40 stuff that you'd hear today, you can hear it once or twice and you know the ins and outs of the song. And we want to stay as far away from that as possible and make sure that we give, it's like watching a movie for the second time, and you see all the smaller details that you didn't see the first time when you got the bigger picture.
Yeah.
We want people to be able to listen to our music again and hear new things. We want to have them listen 3 or 4 times and still be discovering minor things about our music that didn't just pop out to them right at first.
Yeah. Sounds like you have a lot of depth going on with
Yes,
different layers and
Yes.
unveiling of things as you listen to them, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very cool. Reminds me of Tool again. Like they have that sort of same philosophy where it's, the first time you hear an album, you can hear it through and you can take it in, but you're not going to really take it in until you hear it 3 or 4
Sure.
times and start to really get to know the intricacies that's involved
Right.
with it. So
Yeah, our
Yeah.
thought process, we put a lot of thought into our music. We put a lot of heart and soul into our music, and we try our best to convey that to people that listen to it and maybe don't know us. We want somebody who is a complete stranger to be able to listen to our music and say, "Oh yeah, I think they really poured their musicianship into this piece. They didn't just say, all right, here's a an AB type setup song with a chorus and then it's done."
Yeah. Yeah, so it seems like with a lot of bands, everybody brings in their own influences. What
Mhm.
is some of like your personal, what's some of the bands you're influenced by?
Actually, I am very heavily influenced by musical theater.
Oh,
I do a lot of musicals here in the community, as does Logan, the bassist, which is actually where we met, doing a local show together a few years ago. But that really lends itself to an album like our upcoming album, Hector and the Bagman, where there are more theatrical elements that are more in my wheelhouse. Now that I can kind of expand upon, singing for different characters or singing in different situations that could be played out on a stage or something like that. And then, I do have influences from different bands. I really, one of the very first singer that I think I ever idolized was Chris Cornell.
oh,
Uh,
the late and great Chris
yes,
Cornell.
late and great Chris Cornell.
Yeah, very
That was one of the first albums I ever bought. With unfortunately not Soundgarden, the Audio Slave self-titled debut album.
Oh, that was a good album.
Yeah, like
Wasn't
it was.
I think that was a Rick Rubin album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was sitting inside of a hard rock and roll Hall of Fame like cafe, rock and roll cafe, and I saw the music video for one of their singles on that album, and I went and bought the album that day, and I listened to it on repeat over and over again, just like taking his voice in. And then from
Yeah.
there, I branched out, and I was like, oh, like me, the stupid high schooler at the time, I was like, this is the greatest band ever. And then I discovered Soundgarden and Temple of the Dog and all this other stuff that he had done. I was
Yeah.
like, man, this guy is incredible.
He really had one of the best rock voices that I think I've heard out there. But Audio Slave was interesting too. That first album, everything was so simple. It was just like real simple drums, real simple guitars, and Tom Morello, he's got his crazy guitar riffs and stuff. But you could hear the Rage Against the Machine in there. But
Absolutely.
it was really, I don't know, it's just well put together rock songs.
Yeah. Clean,
Yeah,
short,
very
succinct,
cool.
to the point.
Whereas Soundgarden, it seemed like they're more of like, let's do a 3/4 rhythm here, and
Yeah.
then we'll change it to a 6/8 rhythm here, and
very
they do a lot more
progressive grunge.
changing.
Yeah.
No, that's for a singer. That's definitely a good influence to have, though.
Yes,
for sure. Chris Cornell.
I draw a lot from, and I think the thing that I took from him the most was how much feeling he put into everything. If you ever watched him live, and sadly I never did see him live, but just watching live videos of him, he put everything into his performances, and that's what I try and do whenever I'm on stage or just in the vocal booth, trying to really dig into what the song is about, what I'm singing, who I'm singing for,
Really connect with the lyric
and connect
kind of
with
just
the
emote.
message of the song.
Yeah, very cool. I think I was listening to a Chris Cornell interview, and he was talking about his vocal style. And one of the things he said was when he first started with Soundgarden, they were practicing in like a little attic, and they were so loud with guitars and drums, and they had a really crappy PA that he said he had to kind of scream just to be heard over the band.
Sure.
And he thinks that's where he developed a lot of like the strength of his vocals, was just
Sure.
in those attics practicing for years
Right.
and trying to just get his voice heard over the rest of the band. So I
Right.
thought that was pretty interesting. But a voice like that too. You kind of get that he's just got a natural tone.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
really cool sounding.
You can't teach most
I'm always
of what
jealous
he was
of
doing.
those guys
I
that
know.
have that natural. Just even if it's not like a Whitney Houston perfect sounding singer, it's more of just like a weird tone or something like Billy Corgan of Smashing Pumpkins. He's
Yeah.
got like that voice that's just so unique
Right.
sounding,
You
even though
can't-
it may not be like a classically trained sound.
Right, yeah. It's not something that he could just go to a voice teacher and say, I want to sound like this, and they could show him how to do it. It's his unique style that he
Yeah.
developed.
Yeah. So back to the musical theater stuff. So I don't know much about that world, but do you do a lot of? Is it kind of like? Can you maybe talk about it a little bit? Or
Yeah,
is it,
yeah. I again, like right after I started diving into music head first in high school, I was dragged to a play audition, and they said if you're gonna be a singer, you should do drama, and that was such a turning point for me, both as a human and as a musician as well, because nothing can really teach you confidence on stage like being thrown out there and having someone say, you can do it, I know you can do it, even if you've never done it before, you're going to do it right now. And having that first moment where you just force yourself to go out and say lines and sing songs in front of an audience that's not like a rock audience at all. They're all there to stay silent and listen to you.
Yeah. And the lyrics are super important.
The
'cause
lyrics
they're
are super
telling a
important.
story.
The story is very important.
So was this in high school that you got started in?
Yes.
In drama?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a junior in high school. I did my first play, and then after
So where
that,
is it came? Where is it now? Is it?
there are a lot
Are
of
there
groups
theater
around.
clubs and stuff?
Yeah, there are a lot of
Okay.
community theater groups in the area. This is actually a very dense area for theater, so I'm very fortunate to have a lot of options.
Yeah.
But the greatest thing about this area, theater wise, is that there are so many people actively involved, and they all try and encourage each other. There are very few like really intense rivalries. I would say, like, very few, slim to none, where somebody like vehemently hates another person. But it's such an uplifting community, and that's the best part about it. Is you go and you just
So what kind of venues does that the performance is at? Is it?
it really depends. We do a lot at the Maumee Indoor. I perform there quite a bit. That's just Main Street in Maumee.
Is
there-
it kind of one of those things? Like I just don't know anything about this, but is it?
Sure.
Is it like getting cast on Broadway? Like you're in a particular show for a while, or you're doing a certain show and then you change?
A lot of times, production companies will just have one weekend to run the show. So you'll audition. Whether you audition for a specific part or several, it's kind of up to you or up to the director of the show, whoever's in charge.
Yeah.
And then you audition, and if you get cast, you rehearse for typically about 6 to 8 weeks, maybe a little bit longer if it's a more technical show with a lot of set pieces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you perform for 3 or 4 shows on a weekend, and then you're done. And
Wow.
then you move on to the next one. So it's a very kind of systematic process,
Yeah.
but also completely right-brained at the same time. So you fall into this kind of you fall into a rut, really. If once you really get immersed into it, you audition for a show and you rehearse, you perform, you're off for a few weeks, and then you find the next audition and you go, and even working with the same company, you're working with completely different people every time. So it's a great way to meet new musicians, meet different actors and different people, and really grow in many ways.
Yeah. So are they generally all musicals where you're doing a lot of mostly singing, or is it acting too?
It's a healthy mix in the Toledo area. There are places like the Toledo Repertoire Theater. They do a lot of plays. They are actually in rehearsals for a musical called Sweet Charity right now, which goes up in a few weeks. But they do a lot of plays. The Village Players on Upton Avenue, they like to do a lot of plays. But then you have other companies that pretty much just do musicals, like Waterville Play Shop. They're down in Waterville, obviously. They do pretty much all musicals all the time. So it depends on what you want to do.
Yeah.
And you can kind of find a home wherever.
Have you thought about doing the Lonely Friends musical?
You know, it's funny that you say that because we have talked a lot about that. With this album, it really with me coming from a theatrical background and Logan coming from a theatrical background, and then Travis and Nick are both very creative people. They really are very sensitive to the fact that this is a story with characters that have individual personalities and goals, and we've talked a lot about the possibility of having a staged version. Once we release this album in the summer, we're going to branch out to other people and have a theatrical release of the same album with different people singing all of the characters.
Oh.
So that's already in production. It's already in the works.
Yeah.
An actual stage show, maybe 2019, 2020, we'll see.
Yeah. Now that could be cool if you guys actually have like a whole play and you don't even really tell people. You just play the same, like you play Howard's and you put your whole play together on stage there, and like people are like, "Whoa,
here we are!"
Yeah. No, that's cool. That makes sense now with your theater background. I mean, I get the idea of the whole concept album. It seems like that's where your influences come from for sure. So.
Right, and it really is. It draws from all four of our strengths. Logan is a very technical player. He's great on the bass and great on the piano, and he fills out the sound so well underneath everybody else. And Nick is such an intuitive drummer. He's so great with his fills. He bends around the tempo at the perfect time, and he plays they lock so well. And then Travis is like a riff genius. He comes up with some of the greatest ideas to just sit on top of everything else. So we're all kind of drawing from our technical backgrounds, but also our creative backgrounds as well, to make this thing, make this piece.
Yeah, very cool. So, do you guys do you have any plans for like music videos of any kind, or just live?
We have not thought about that yet. Right now, we're
That's
just
a tough one.
It can
cost a lot of money if you pay somebody else to do
Yeah.
it, or it can take a lot of experience if you try to do it yourself. So.
Right now, we're actually working with one of our good friends. His name is Austin Mosier. He runs Noisy Cats Productions, and he has kind of followed us along this process of writing and recording, and so I guess we're not doing any music videos per se, but we are in the process of making a type of documentary of the entire process. So that probably late 2018, in the fall winter time, we'll have some of that stuff out. So it really will capture a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that goes into writing and recording Hector and the Bagman.
Yeah. Oh, that's always great to have for fans, kind of the how it was made sort of stuff. So, yeah, very cool. Very cool. So do you do any other sort of instruments other than piano and singing? Or
I used to play the drums.
Really?
Yeah, I was a drummer for a short while with a few people I went to college with. I had a guitarist and a bassist friend that we would jam every once in a while. It never really took off into anything. I was always more comfortable being the front man, so it was just kind of for fun. But my main focus is on voice.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you guys do they ever cut you out and just do instrumentals or
Yeah.
instrumental songs?
Yeah,
Or-
like I said before, we have a full overture. It's like a 3 minute
Oh, yeah, you did
long
say that,
song. That's
yeah.
all instrumental, and our finale is predominantly instrumental at the end. So there are a few patches where lyrics come in, the characters will interject, but a lot of the last 9 minutes of the album is just bass, keys, guitar, and drums.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I heard, I think it was Dave Grohl, back to the Foo Fighters. He was talking about drumming compared to singing and playing guitar. And one of the things he said was, he was like, I have to think way more when I'm the front man, and I have to concentrate on the chords I'm playing. And he's like, drumming is just like dancing along with the music. And
Right.
so I kind of related that as a drummer and also a guitar player. Yeah, it is, especially because I started on drums, but it is kind of just dancing along with what's going on. I mean, you're kind of the foundation, so you have to hold down the tempo. But
Right.
as far as when it comes to like jamming with people and stuff, I'm always more comfortable as a drummer because I'm just
Sure.
like, yeah, I can dance along to anything. You start playing, and I'll play along with you.
Right,
But
right.
I don't have. Then if I'm on guitar, I'm like, okay, well, what key are we in? What chords are we playing?
Help me.
Yeah,
Please help.
I'm not quite as averse at that, but so what's on the horizon other than the album coming out? Anything else new with you guys?
Well, we were talking about this a little bit before. We really want to get back into doing more non-music content as well. So we just had actually in April, leading up to our recording day, we had a Lonely Friends beard off. Because all four of us have beards, so we like trimmed our beards really short at the at the beginning of April, and we're like, we're just gonna grow these beards out until we record our album, and then on that day we'll post pictures, and you guys can vote, and you can tell us who has the best beard at this point. I won, no big
Nice.
deal. But we got a lot of positive attention for that. We got a lot of really good reactions.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the things that not necessarily sets us apart, but one of the things that makes us kind of a fun band to follow is we are not afraid to not be serious. Even though a lot of the music in this album, it seems very dark and more serious, as people, we're just four friends making music together. So behind the scenes, we're laughing all the time, cracking jokes at each other.
Yeah.
And that's what we try and convey to our audience.
So you're not looking to be like the mystical rock stars that
No.
are untouchable.
No. We want to be as as human as possible.
Yeah. It's almost like you want to give your fans a glimpse into anything in your life.
Right.
Give them daily updates on,
Right.
like people like to see behind the scenes a lot now.
Yeah.
It seems like they want to get to know you, even if it's something mundane. There was someone talking about just having a problem creating content constantly, and he shifted his mind frame. I can't remember who was telling me this, but instead of thinking of it as creating content all the time, he thought of it as more of just documenting what he's doing.
Yeah.
And just started documenting his life, and that in itself created a lot of content other than what the music was. So.
Sure. And all four of us have very, very different work lives. So we can really provide a lot of different things individually. Logan is still in school, and he's a composition major at Bowling Green State University.
That's a good background to
yeah,
have in your band.
Exactly. Yes, but he currently is writing a show. He's writing a musical. So a lot of times we can divert to him, and he has content available. And not necessarily playing his music, but talking about his process, or talking about the things that he is doing as an individual musician. And Nick is an incredible. He cuts hair. He's an incredible hairstylist. So he, his personal Instagram and Facebook, he features, people that he styles up, and they look great. So we have a lot of things that we can draw from our individual lives and put out there. So we are four individuals coming together and making this, and it's mostly about the music, because we obviously want people to hear our stuff, but it's also about having a more personal feeling relationship with the people who are getting our content.
Yeah. I think when people can connect with the people, they definitely have a better appreciation for the music, or
Right.
they just get into bands more. And,
Yeah.
which is it's a weird dichotomy, because it was like in the 80s and 70s and before the internet, I guess. It was more of like that rock star image of the
Right.
posters, and it was like these gods and goddesses, and
Yeah.
they were kind of like the untouchables or whatever. And now it's people want them to be normal people, and they want to relate to them on a normal level. So
And that's what we strive to do. We talk a lot about what our brand is. We don't want to just be a band. We want to have a way of thinking that this general brand that we have, that people can look at something and say, oh yeah, that's the Lonely Friends. That it could be just a pic, like a meme that we make of Logan, just a joke that we post a picture of him, and they're like, oh yeah, that's funny. That's a Lonely Friends
yeah.
brand of humor.
Yeah, that's cool. It's good that you guys are talking about that. That's one of those things that like most musicians and artists kind of shy away from, is the music marketing stuff or the branding. But it's so important for bands
Absolutely.
to have something to latch on to. That's kind of where it seems like that sets bands apart in the local scene, at least, is
Right.
just having very strong branding and a sense of when people hear the name The Lonely Friends, yeah, they should be able to bring up an image of what they can expect. So,
Right.
yeah, that's good that you guys are, you understand that. So, but I think that's just comes with maturity and being a band for a while. And
Absolutely.
understanding yourself. And
Yes,
what
we
you're
were not
doing.
always that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
When we
something that
first
kind of
started,
develops,
yeah.
it seems, with a lot of bands over time. So, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely started because we wanted to make music, and we thought that music was fun, and it kind of just happened. When we first started, there was a thing called the Panther Palooza at our high school, our old high school. The mascot was the Panther. We were the Mommy Panthers, and a year after we had graduated, they had this thing where local bands all played to raise money for the band boosters. And so they asked Nick, because he had been in the band with Mommy High School. They asked him, hey, are you playing with a band right now? Do you have anybody that could play and fill a slot here? And he called up Travis, and he called me up, and we learned 6 covers in like 2 weeks, and went and played. And I'm sure it was a disaster, but it was super fun for us. And we said, it feels comfortable playing with you guys. Maybe we should continue on. And so from there, we were just focused on making music and playing together. A brand or a greater design was not even in the works, wasn't even thought of at the moment. And
Yeah.
as we grew as artists and grew as a band together, it became very apparent that this is something that we like to do. This is something that we think could affect people outside of just the 4 of us. And that's what we are trying to do now.
Yeah.
Is really get stuff out there that people enjoy.
Right. Now the key is that you have a direction with your brand. Now you can't go too far out of it and alienate everybody.
Right.
Nah.
Well, and that's why we try and make it very apparent that our music is not just one thing.
Yeah, you can go in any direction.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like I guess that would be the Radiohead model.
Yeah.
Seems like every album
Or
of
just,
theirs is like way off in a different way.
Right.
So now their fans don't expect anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's more of what are you going to bring to the table this time? It could be anything.
Right.
So that's
Yeah, they expect to not expect.
expect the unexpected.
Yes.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Well, hey man, let's wrap this up.
All right.
It's been
Let's do
great.
it.
Thank you so much. Check out the Lonely Friends on Facebook. Is it just the Lonely Friends?
Yep, just the Lonely Friends.
And
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The Instagram is the Lonely Gram.
Okay.
And then we're also on YouTube at the Lonely Friends Band.
Have you guys delved into like doing your own website yet, or?
That's in the works. That's
Yeah.
with the brand.
Cool. Very
It's
cool.
coming out with the album. Yep.
Check out the Lonely Friends. You guys will be at what's the next gig?
The Ottawa Tavern, June 27th.
That's the Disney show.
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. It's been great.